I'm about to leave the country for 6 whole weeks, so I thought I would film my packing process, so I hope you enjoy this video. So I'm not really sure how I'm gonna structure this video. That is for editing Amy to figure out later. A brief introduction about myself. My name is Amy and I do knitting content here on YouTube and on Instagram. I am full-time an engineer and I work on a bunch of internationally based projects. So travel is a common occurrence for me with my job, and this is the reason for the trip. So it is a work trip. I am going to Europe for 6 whole weeks. I'll be working. Yeah, a little bit of a transitional time for me. I need to pack luggage for those whole 6 weeks away. All of my luggage is in here, so I'm gonna open it up. Now, I have the ability to bring 2 checked bags and 1 carry-on bag and 1 backpack, but I do want to try to minimize my baggage because from experience, I have traveled solo with 3 suitcases and it's just too much to navigate around the airports and to and from hotels and stuff. So I'm gonna try to do 1 checked bag, 1 carry-on luggage, and then my backpack. So hopefully everything that I need will fit. I'm gonna find out in just a little bit. So this is what I am working with. I have my large checked-in bag. This is the largest suitcase I own. This smaller one here is carry-on compatible or compliant. It's small enough to be put in the overhead bins. And then I have my backpack. This luggage set also has a third, which is in between these 2 sizes. And I'm trying not to bring that one. It's too large for a carry-on and I don't want 2 checked bags. So I'm gonna first start with clothing. I feel like that takes up the most space. I do have all these packing cubes, which are super helpful if you travel a lot or even any amount. I definitely recommend travel cubes. They keep all the clothing contained, and it also kind of helps with space. Like you can really pack things in them and zip them up to cut down on space in your luggage. My plan is just to go through my closet, lay out everything that I think I'll need on the bed, and then see how it all fits in the packing cubes. If it's getting too tight, I'll try to slim down and see where I can minimize the amount that I'm bringing. Okay, so I just laid out what I think is a good amount. Like I don't think it's in excess. I also don't think it's super minimalistic. Like I think I might be able to cut a few things. I will add, I do have access to laundry this whole time that I'm there. So that definitely opens up a lot of opportunity to cut down, because as long as I have like a week's worth of clothing, I can wash it and rewear it. And I'm not trying to be a fashion queen on this trip, so there's no need for me to pack like my nicest things. And then I decided to pack my 2 knit pieces here. I didn't want to pack a lot of knitwear because I'm not going to want to hand wash most of my clothing. So I figured 1 cardigan was good, and this beige April cardigan will match a lot of these layering pieces, and I think will make pretty good outfits, like especially with the striped tops. If I need both long sleeves, they'll look really cute. And then I also packed my Friday slipover, which I wasn't expecting to pack, but I feel like it's a cute layering piece and I can easily throw them on over the t-shirts or the long sleeves. And again, I think it would look pretty good on a bunch of the things that I have packed. And if you follow my podcast, you might recall that I say a lot that I have a lot of beige and brown, and I'm trying to get away from beige and brown, and now you can see what I mean. I haven't really bought a lot of new clothing in the past year. So these are all clothes that I've accumulated like years prior, which is awesome. Like I'm glad I'm still able to wear them and they're still in good shape, but you can see the color palette is pretty neutral, a lot of beiges and browns, which is good for mixing and matching, but I've learned that I don't really love beige anymore, so I'll be wearing my non-favorite colors on this trip, which is fine. All right, we'll take out a few things. I am packing a few knit socks. They're just too fun not to pack, and they just fit so perfectly in this packing cube. Clothing is packed. I did realize I haven't done it yet, but I meant to separate out like 1 or 2 outfits to put in my carry-on, because there's always the risk of them losing your luggage, and they do a good job of returning it. That's fortunately never happened to me, but I have heard of others where it takes a couple days for the airline to return their luggage to them. So I'm not stuck without clothing for a couple days. I'll just make sure I put at least 1 outfit rotation in my smaller carry-on. So I'll do that off camera. Morning. It is the next day. Last I left you guys, I had finished packing my clothes, and then I went to my parents' house to say goodbye to them last night. So that was all the packing that I got done, because I came home at midnight and then just went straight to bed. So my flight is today. It's tonight at 7 p.m. I'll plan on getting to the airport around 5, and it is 9:20 in the morning right now. So just made some coffee, eating a cinnamon donut. I don't normally eat cinnamon donuts for breakfast, but my parents got it for me as a little treat before I left. Yeah, I also just showered, so my hair's a little wet. And now that I've finished clothing, I need to do toiletries and then like the miscellaneous stuff, which is always my least favorite part. And I'm starting to get a little bit worried about space, so I might thin out some clothing to help with that. We'll see. Okay, next up for toiletries, I'm gonna start with my makeup. Again, keeping it super minimal because I don't need to look really nice for this work trip, but this is my organizer. It has 2 detachable little clear zipper pouches, and I really like how it has this section here for makeup brushes. They fit right into those elastics, and this little cover covers the brush part so they stay clean. And then I usually dump the rest of my makeup in this zippered pouch. Okay, so I laid out what I'm gonna pack. I feel like it's pretty minimal, which I'm happy about. This is like 1 of each type that I need to do a, I don't know, decently covered face. All right, and we have skincare here. All of this is going to be going into my checked bag, so I don't have to worry about liquid limits, but I did want to be conscious of, you know, weight and such. So some of these things I actually emptied out. This was new, but I emptied it into a container to keep half of it or more than half of it at home, just so it wasn't completely full. Traveling for 6 weeks is definitely a weird period of time where a lot of travel size stuff just won't last me 6 weeks. So I did have to get full size things, but I'll be able to bring it home with me and continue to use it once I return. So I think that's everything for necessities: clothing, shoes, toiletries, hygiene items. Next, I'm gonna move into tech. So yeah, there's a lot to pack there. And then after tech, I'll move into extras, fun stuff, knitting stuff. So that's coming. All right, so I pulled out all of my travel goodies for power. European power is different than US power, and it's not just the plug, but it's also the voltage. So I do have a few adapters that I will bring. I'll throw a couple of these in my luggage and then 1 of them in my backpack, because I'll probably need some power in my layover in Europe. So yeah, we have the 2-prong plug here. This one's really nice. It has a bunch of different things. It has the 3-prong US plug-in, 2-prong if you need it, also USB. So I got these on Amazon. I do have some special things that I have specifically for traveling just because I do it so often. So hair dryers, most US hair dryers run off of like 110 volts. And so I have this convertible hair dryer here that you can toggle this switch and it'll move from 125 volts to 250 volts. The 250 volts is going to be European compatible, so I don't blow any breakers or stuff like that. And I do have a European toothbrush charger because it's just, you know, I don't want to have to use adapters for everything, and just to minimize the amount of adapters I need. I just bought one of these last time I was in Europe. So this can also go up to 220 to 240 volts. So we'll pack those things. Everything else I'll just use the adapters for, like my laptop chargers, my iPhone charger, camera charger, stuff like that. Okay, so I laid out some of the tech stuff that I'll be bringing. I have my personal laptop. I'm also planning on packing my iPads. I do have some of my filming stuff here. Like I have this handheld tripod thing for my camera. If you're a Mac user, you know what this is. I don't have a USB port, so I have to use this adapter. I have this little Bluetooth thing that connects to my phone so I can take photos with it. And I have an external hard drive because my computer gets filled up really quickly with video files. So obviously I'm bringing my camera as well. And then I'm also bringing my big tripod. This collapses really small, so that'll easily fit in my bag here. And I can't show you my camera because I'm using it, but that'll definitely get packed here in my carry-on as well. Now I'm moving into stuff for my backpack, some sanitizing products, just like a singular wipe and some hand sanitizer. I also have some oil blotting sheet, a singular makeup removing wipe as well, some individually packed Advil, some Dramamine if I need it. And then I used to pack a little toothbrush and toothpaste as well to brush my teeth after I land from the long haul flight, but I found that they usually give that to you in the little like flight packs for the overnight flights, so I'm just not gonna pack one and hope that they give me one. If not, can always buy something in the airport. This is a Calpac backpack. I don't remember what the model name is, but has a lot of compartments, which I really like. I used to have a backpack that had just one, it was just one compartment, like you just opened it and that was it. And it was fine. It served its purpose, but this is definitely a lot nicer because it has a back padded area so my laptop can go in here. It also fits my iPad. There's like elasticized pockets, and then there's a second compartment when you open it, and there's all these different compartments that you can put stuff in. There is a zippered pocket on the inside as well, and more stuff below. It has this front pocket as well with the zipper, and I like how the front flap kind of covers the zipper. Has water bottle pockets, and then there's also, it's still going, there's also a shoe compartment at the bottom here, so you can put shoes at the bottom of the backpack. So I'm gonna load this up with my stuff, see how it fits. It's gonna be heavy because I'm gonna do my MacBook and my iPad and then everything else. All right, time for a quick lunch break. So I'm also drinking my first glass of water for the day, even though it's lunchtime, but gotta stay hydrated. And at this point I'm feeling pretty good, both with space and with time. It's 11:30, and so I still have like at least 3 hours to finish packing, and I feel like I'm almost done. You know, all the necessities are done, and at this point I feel like I still have a good amount of space in both my suitcases, and all I have left is like the fun stuff, like knitting, yarn, craft supplies, if I want to bring any books. Yeah, I'm gonna watch some YouTube while I eat lunch, and then I'll get back to packing. Okay, now we're moving on to my knitting stuff to pack, which I think is gonna be the hardest to narrow down because I need to be super minimalist. Yarn takes up a ton of space, and I'm only there for 6 weeks, so I really had to think about how much I can actually knit in 6 weeks. I could probably finish a whole sweater and maybe half of another sweater. So I'm really telling myself to only bring 2 major whips. So I am planning on bringing my zipper sweater that I've been working on, and I also want to be able to wear it. So I think it would be super cool to finish it while I'm there and then wear it when the weather gets a little bit cooler at the end of the month. And this is my progress so far. I've finished the collar, I finished the short rows, and now I am on to the raglan shaping. So going to be packing that. It was 10 balls of Filcolana Peruvian total. I've already used 2, so I'll pack these. I need to figure out a way to compress them. I don't have any vacuum bags, but I think I can kind of just like squish them really well underneath some stuff. Also held with that yarn is the Filcolana Tilia. I have 5 balls of these, but I've already worked with 1, so there's just 4 extra. It is chaotic back there. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I will need the zipper, so I'm gonna want to do the zipper installation while there. I'll also need my little sewing kit for the zipper. So I have this travel size sewing kit. It is super cute. That's everything I would need. I feel like this is also just a good thing to have in case I need to mend something while I'm away. It has a little bit of black thread, I can't tell if that's enough to do the zipper sweater. I'm gonna hope that it is. It feels pretty thick, so I'm gonna hope that that's enough. So there are some pins. I think I'll add some more pins as well because I think you have to pin the whole zipper in before you zipper it. I do need to bring these. I have some hats that I've been commissioned to knit for some of my coworkers that I'm meeting on the trip. And I thought I was gonna knit the hats before I left, but I didn't end up having time. So I'm packing the yarn that I need for those items. So that's these 3 balls here. We'll also need to pack some tags for those hats. So I have these cute little knee knits tags that I put on my hats after I finish knitting them. So packing enough for those. Okay, now to select my second major project that I'll be packing with me. I have a couple options of things that I'm interested in. They're from my fall knitting plans. So these are all would-be new cast-ons. The first step is the Whitmore cardigan that I need to re-knit after frogging it. And I would be knitting it in Sorella Yarn Classic DK in the color Townhouse. And I think that would be a good project to bring because it's different from the zipper sweater. I feel like I need something that has variety and differences because I'm gonna wanna switch back and forth between them. The zipper sweater is stockinette in the round, there's wool and mohair, so the Whitmore cardigan being lace and knit flat and no mohair I think is enough difference to keep me engaged. Another option is my Judy sweater that I have not casted on by Gregoria Fibers. I have this yarn, it's Juniper Moon Farm Patagonia Organic Merino in the color Violet, and this is a similar pattern where there's a lot of texture. It's drop shoulder, so it's different from raglan construction, and again is different enough from the zipper sweater where it would keep me engaged. And then my last option is my April cardigan, which is in progress. I am just about to start the bottom ribbing at the body, and of course I would have to do the sleeves and the button band and then add buttons to finish it off. And it's looking pretty good. I'm knitting it in, what yarn is it? Oh, Estelle Alpaca DK, or I think it's actually called Estelle Highland Alpaca DK. And it's this really nice charcoal gray color. And I don't know why, I feel like I don't have a good answer as to why I don't want to bring this, but I just don't. I don't know. The idea of bringing this cardigan doesn't excite me. I would rather get back to it after I return. I feel like because I'm so far along with it, I feel like it would be more exciting to return from my trip and be able to pick this up and know that it's really close to the end. And a new cast on just sounds more exciting to me. Also, this is stockinette and the zipper sweater is stockinette, so I feel like it's not enough variety. And the coloring too. The zipper sweater is black and this is gray, and I don't know, I just feel like they're too similar to keep me excited. So no April cardigan, this one is gonna stay home. And I'm going to pack my Whitmore cardigan. I think it's just gonna be fun. I have a lot of excitement about this project, and so the idea of starting it soon is really exciting to me. So that's gonna be my final selection, which means I have 3 cakes wound, but I do need to wind up the 2 other skeins. I am not bringing my winder or Swift. There's just no need to pack them. They're large and take up space and fragile, so I'm gonna pre-wind these. I feel like the cakes are pretty compact, so this is a pretty good way to travel with yarn because they're pretty much as compacted as they're going to be. I'll probably slip them in a large plastic Ziploc bag to keep them protected. So all of those skeins got wound up. Everything else doesn't need to be wound because these are all center pull balls, which is really nice, or I can pull from the outside. It looks like it takes up a lot of physical space. I think these might be annoying, but everything else is pretty compressible, and I do still have a lot of space. Like all of that is pretty open. Even this is super collapsible. So there's all that open space there. I have a lot of open space on the other side. Definitely a lot of places where I can squish in these yarn balls. And thinking about leaving space for my return, it's good to know that these 3, because they are for those hats that I'm knitting for my coworkers, I'm not gonna be coming home with them. So I'm gonna be leaving them there, which will give me some extra space on my way home. Okay, yarn is packed. I put most of it in my checked bag here. I put some back in some of those plastic bags that sometimes come with yarn when you order them, just to protect them a little bit. And my zipper sweater whip is also gonna go in my checked bag. I had originally wanted it to be my plain knitting project, but I think it's just gonna be too complex with the mohair. If it gets tangled, it's gonna be annoying. The plain's gonna be dark, so I just think it's best for that to stay in the luggage. And for my knitting project at the airport and on the plane, I'm actually gonna start one of those hats, one of the beanies that I'm making for my coworkers, because it's just 1x1 rib in a circular tube, so I think that'll be pretty easy, compact, plain knitting. So I'm actually gonna cast that on now, so I have it ready to go to work on once I get to the airport. Now I'm gonna sort out what needles and notions I need to pack. I'm really tempted to just bring my whole needle case. This has all of my interchangeable tips and cords. It also has my short interchangeable set for a 16-inch diameter or 16-inch circumference. Cords in here, but I don't know, I feel like it would be better just to minimize the amount of space and weight. I'm getting a little bit concerned about the weight of the big luggage. It needs to be under 50 pounds. So both of my sets are Knitter's Pride Nova Platina circulars. They are metal needles. They have a chrome plating. They're very shiny and very slick and smooth, and they have a really long pointed tip that I like. Okay, so I have laid out all of my knitting needles necessary to complete all the projects I have packed. I am tempted to pack more needles in case I want to start new projects while I'm over there with new yarn that I buy, but it's just too difficult to figure out what I might need, and I think this will help control like the cast on temptation and just keep my projects under control while I'm over there. Now, so many people always have so many questions about traveling with knitting needles. And I will say, as someone who's flown a lot, both within the US and internationally, there are differences depending on what airport and country you're in for sure. And I have successfully flown within the US to a bunch of different cities, and I've never had any issues at all with these metal, pointy, sharp knitting needles. Now, I have had issues in Europe in some different countries. I think because they are metal, they come up under the X-ray, and I found that depending on the airport you're at, a lot of European countries have this rule that the language is in regards to metallic knives or metallic items that could be used as knives. And that language is what got me caught, or that's what got me in trouble with these metal knitting needles in some European countries. For metallic sharp objects, 4.5 inches is too long. It's not allowed. So I have had my metal knitting needles confiscated at an airport just once, and for that reason, when I fly home from Europe, I'm not going to be packing any metal needles in my carry-on. I'm going to put them all in my checked bags. So part of me wants to pack a few wooden interchangeable tips to prevent that if I want to have a project with me on the plane home. So I'll probably do that. That's my experience with knitting needles on planes. Within the US, it's fine. Within Europe, I've had issues, so I'm just gonna take some precautions and not bring metal needles in my carry-on when I'm in Europe. All of this stuff is gonna go in my checked bag, except for the one pair for my hat that I'm gonna work on, so I'm just being extra safe. There's no need to pack all of these needles in my carry-on today. So I feel like at this point I'm pretty much packed. Everything is laid out in the luggage, and I'm now just sort of walking around my apartment and looking around to see if there's any last minute things I want to add. I did remember, and I'm glad I remembered, to pack a beanie, because again, it's gonna get cooler near the end of the month and the beginning of October. So I'm gonna bring my Musselburgh hats that I have not yet worn because I finished this in the summer, so this will be really cute to wear. I am also gonna bring my Sophie scarf. I think it'll be a nice piece if I need some neck warmth, because again, it's not gonna be freezing, but it might be a little chilly on some days. Adding these to the luggage, I did start the beanie with the petite wool. So I casted this on. It's just a simple 1x1 rib, and this is gonna go in my backpack for plain knitting. And yeah, I now need to weigh my luggage to make sure that it doesn't weigh more than 50 pounds. And actually, I would want it to weigh significantly less than 50 pounds because I need the space for souvenirs on the way home. All right, I have my luggage scale here. 50 pounds is the weight we have to beat. be less than 43, 44. Can you guys see that? Hopefully I got it. Whew. All right, I'm glad that we're at 44 pounds. That gives me about 5 pounds or 6 pounds of clearance, and there are a lot of ways that I know this will decrease in weight once I'm there. For example, I talked about those few yarn balls that are gonna get used. I have a lot of toiletries and liquids that I'm gonna consume while I'm away for 6 weeks. I do also have my work boots in here, which are steel toe work boots, and they're very heavy. And I have worn them on plane rides home because they just were too much weight added to my luggage. So that's always an option when I come home as well. Long story short, I'm not worried, so good to go. I'm actually gonna pack up this tripod, so I don't know how much left of this I'm going to be filming, but I feel like I'm pretty much done. I'm gonna zip stuff up. I have about, it is 3 o'clock, so I have about an hour before I plan on leaving, maybe an hour and a half. Yeah, we're ready to go. And I totally forgot to film an outro, but thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.